So yeah, my name's Alex, Alex Brown, which is me Alex, and I'm one of co-founders of a CBD company called Biosanti. We basically started in January when the world was looking very normal, and here we are now where it's kind of a very different world. So we basically have had quite a strange and tough journey, but we kind of saw really good summer with sales. So we're a CBD company. We have balms, oils, we have massage oils as well, and we're basically partnered up with a laboratory and a lab in Ireland. New to CBD, it's new to the cannabis industry. Our background is basically the medical industry in the US. So myself, one of the co-founders, we used to have a rehab facility in the US, and then from that we got into helping some of our patients with CBD. And then because we're based here in the UK, we saw the opportunity here, and here we are. So we've had a strange 9-month journey, but yeah, it's just quite interesting. We're very new to it, so I'm still learning. So I'm sure a lot of you in the room are going to have much more information and knowledge in the industry than I am. But yeah, that's us.
Whereabouts are you based, Alex?
I'm in London at the moment, so we're based in London. So the co-founders are from London, and yeah, we kind of mark ourselves as a UK CBD company, and we're actually at the moment just exploring options to be selling our products in the US with our kind of connections and branches in the medical industry over there as well. So we're trying to explore where options are for us at the moment. So early days.
Fantastic. And London's a great place to be right now from a CBD point of view, with everything that's going on. So it's really just taken off, and it's become like a hub for CBD and medical cannabis.
It is, yeah, it really is. Yeah, exactly right. And it's a shame. Like I said, we founded in January. And obviously lockdown took place in March. So I'm sure during all those months, we would have done 1,000,001 networking events by now. But between that, we've been on the phone to just everybody and anybody, competitors, friends, family, whoever it is, just to try and get to know everybody and trying to understand the kind of ecosystem of the CBD industry at the moment. So I'm still getting my head around who's competitors are, and there seems to be new brands popping up every week, just like us. But it's quite an exciting time at the moment because it's very new. So no one knows what it's going to be this time next year. But
what do you think is the #1 challenge, aside from the pandemic? What, as a new CBD startup in the UK, what's been the biggest challenge for you so far?
Yeah, I was saying this to my girlfriend this morning, because she actually asked me the same question because she sees me working all day long. And I think it's really, really educating everybody about CBD and cannabis. You know, every time I speak to somebody new about our company, they will just consider it as weed oil, or it's going to get you high. And that really is the hardest thing, is getting over that kind of understanding of, you know, the plant, the benefits, the legality around it, the regulations. It is not an illegal oil that we're just trying to sell on the black market or just from our property. You know, we are young, and we're trying to get into stores and into the hands of our consumers, but it's really just that concept and understanding around, you know, cannabis, around hemp, around, you know, the whole industry. But at the moment, when I was very ignorant to it as well, 2 years ago, if you told me about CBD oil or CBD as a whole, I'd think, oh, it's kind of some oil that get you stoned or high, and, you know, I just thought it's got to be legal, and that's it. So it's really, that's the hardest part, just educating everybody in the industry, really. So yeah.
Great. Perfect timing. Our first time going on. Excellent. So let's see who would like to take over from Alex and give us their next introduction before we go on to some more topics. Who'd like to go next? It's fair game. Nick?
Okay, I'll go for there. Say hi.
Yeah, Kyle, go for it.
Hi, my name's Kyle Esplin. I'm co-founder of Holistic Highland Hemp. We founded it at the end of 2018. I do have experience in the CBD industry a few years prior to that with another business partner. I got involved in the CBD industry since 2013 from my own personal experience. It was actually kind of similar situation to what's hot news just now. It was a respiratory infection. Took me out of action in 2012, left me with a long-term post-viral fatigue syndrome, and the doctors had no solutions. I went over to Holland, went to a clinic, got a couple different cannabis oils, completely changed my life. This was before there was a CBD industry in the UK at the time, and came back over, got together with a partner, and started a company. So I've been involved for some time, and obviously for everyone, the current situation means the huge interruption to everyone's plans. Where we were at, we're just getting this brand launched and into distribution. My personal passion was the pastes and the raw plant extracts. Not so much beyond that, just the raw plant extracts. But with time and widening the consumer base, let's say, going to the mainstream, we got into doing edibles and various things. We joined the Soil Association, certified organic. We did a chocolate here, certified organic by Soil Association, and with a fully compostable inner wrapper, made in Scotland, vegan, and all that. So we're moving into the edible range as well, and starting to do honeys, things like this, putting the paste into. Some people just don't like the taste of the whole plant extract, so starting to sweeten it up. So as a brand, that's where we're at just now. So it's great to connect with everyone here, and thanks for inviting us in.
How is it in Scotland regarding kind of the popularity of CBD right now? Because obviously we were talking about London there a few minutes ago. We were always hearing about London, but from a kind of Scottish point of view, you know, how kind of popular has it become there?
Sure. Well, I'm in a small town that on the map we're, let's say, between Dundee and Aberdeen, up in the east of the country, not all the way up north, but north if you're down there. And yeah, things in the countryside, obviously, they pick up a little bit slower than the cities. So you go out to the farmer's market, and it's very fresh to a lot of people. Let's say like London might be more saturated, perhaps, with CBD kind of every store corner and all those things. It's let's say, although it's been up here, and obviously it's been more online than on the ground. So farmer's market and that, people are a little bit more, I think, still coming into it, still new, which is good. There's still that developing market. So yeah, very receptive. It's going down well everywhere, you know. It resonates with people.
You mentioned as well your own kind of experience with going to Holland and everything. You know, how from a kind of personal point of view, how has CBD and kind of the medical side of cannabis, I suppose, helped yourself personally?
Well, it completely changed me. I mean, I was bedridden. I was out of action. There was, you know, I was one of these people who may have been heading for years and years of no change, and it really scared me, and it's kind of traumatic, the stories I hear now of people who are still stuck in that situation that I managed to get out of. So it's great to see how things have developed on the access line and for medical across the board. One thing I would say though on the CBD industry, I don't think everything has gone in a completely positive direction from where things started off. And this is a strange thing to say, but I was just thinking about this. I think that back in 2016, 17, in some ways, there was across the board some better extracts on the market, to say, than the mainstream shift as things have gone with like isolate CBD. And I mean, the fact that there's even companies calling and pitching synthetic cannabinoids is just, you know, well, that's just disconnected from pretty much all of the where we came from to be here doing this, you know. So, you know, back in like 2016 or so, when my first company was started up, I remember full spectrum and full plant extracts was all the thing, and yeah, the taste was an issue. And when isolates and distillates came out, they were only being used for vaping and dabbing. Nobody was eating isolates and distillates in 2016, 17. They were only being used for smoking and inhalation. And now, okay, it's cool, you know, there's all various regulations, things to comply with, but I think there's some of the mainstream consumers coming with we all call it CBD, but a lot of us refer to CBD oil being a hemp plant extract is dominant in CBD, but some do refer to just the compound CBD, of course. So it's been interesting to see the changes, but it does concern me slightly of the isolated cannabinoid route and synthetics and things like that we hear coming up these days. Great.
Well, thank you for all of that great kind of insight from the personal point of view as well. It's always very interesting. Nick Rosen, you're a journalist and a producer. You've got your hand raised there. So welcome to yourself, Nick. Nice to see you again. Tell us about what you've going on at the moment, because I know you're involved in kind of producing a documentary of some sort that these guys might be interested in.
Yes. I thought the idea was we're supposed to pitch something that,
absolutely.
And so I'm going to try and pitch people the idea of this documentary. Not that I'm looking for finance, but looking for what to make the film about. So I've been wanting to make a documentary for a while about cannabis. You know, we all know what the things are to be said about it, whether it should be legal or not, how many people are using it, the different medical uses. We all know the terrain of important things that need to be said about cannabis. But I'm an award-winning documentary maker and a writer. I'm writing a book about cannabis, which will be coming out late next year. And I've been dying to make a documentary, but I make feature documentaries, you know, 1 hour or 90-minute documentaries. And the problem has been finding the right way to tell the story. And each time I think I found the right way, it doesn't work out because of the sensitivities in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
There's legal sensitivities, there's large amounts of money at stake, and then, you know, people are perhaps a bit secretive about certain aspects of what they're doing. So for one reason or another, all the great stories that I know about, I haven't been able to tell, and which is very frustrating. And as I say, I don't want to tell them for their own sake. I want to tell them to hang off them all these important things that we want to say about cannabis. But whatever you want to say about cannabis, you have to have a really powerful story that's going through it, about one person and their quest, or about some amazing discovery. You know, so I started with a woman who'd saved her child from a terrible brain tumor as a result of cannabis, but that didn't work out because she wanted to patent the way the medication that she'd created and bring it out commercially. And then there was, well, I won't go into the details of the things that didn't work out, but there were some very good stories. But just to say, if you think you've got a story that's worth telling and that people would want to hear, please, you know, contact me on the messaging, or my company is called vivum.net, VIVUM. So maybe I can somehow type up my email address and you can contact me at my email address, nick@vivum.net.
Absolutely, sure. And yeah, you can chat in the background and everything on this, so it should be fine. And you know, if you want Nick as well, I can pass your email addresses on to anyone who's interested.
Oh, and I should have said thank you, Royshin, for, you know, making this opportunity for the industry. You know, I think we've all hugely missed the chance to speak to each other and bump into each other. And I hope this is the first of many, and perhaps you could make it every Monday instead of every fourth Monday.
I'd love to. We'll try and see something where we can kind of make it a bit more frequent. Absolutely. Right. Who would like to go next? Do we have Pete from PND Group on here? Let me see. Let's see. Should we go with Ross? Ross, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi guys.
Welcome.
As you can hear, I don't have an accent like you guys do. I'm from South Africa. If you guys do hear animals barking or singing, it's the bird and the dogs. So yeah, I'm from Cannabis Compliance Bureau in South Africa. I assist guys in getting their medicinal licenses for cultivation for export. So I work hand in hand with the regulators, so SAPA, South African Health and Regulatory Authority, and I basically assist farmers in getting their licenses to cultivate, extract, manipulate, create dossiers. So yeah, that's my function. So I graduated at the Colorado Training University for cannabis, and then I've got a business management degree as well. I'm currently studying my pharmaceutical technician, and then obviously I work underneath a pharmacist who's a regulatory pharmacist. His name is Nico Crick. Yeah, he's responsible for a lot of the pharmacies going up in South Africa, and now obviously cannabis. So we've got about 170 guys on our books right now to get their licenses for cannabis and hopefully find some exporters. So that's why I'm here. I want to find someone that I can plug into and send product over to for extractions or pre-made oils or even creating dossiers.
And tell us about the kind of industry in South Africa regarding cannabis and what it's like there, because it's not somewhere that's, you know, I suppose it could be described as up and coming. So, you know, tell us from your point of view, from the inside out, what the industry, what kind of shape it's in.
Yeah, look, so in 2018, the law changed on the 22nd of May. So basically, government came forward and said recreational use is now legal. The guys can smoke it and grow it in their houses. Unfortunately, there was a little a little fine print that said that they're not allowed to have seeds. So everyone was like, well, we're allowed to grow it, but where can we grow it now without the seed extract? So then on the 27th of May this year, or no, 27th of May 2019, sorry, they came back and said, right, now we're going to start doing medicinal cannabis. So anything under 0.3% THC can now be sold as a complementary medicine. So having a 20 milligram daily dosage of CBD, as well as a 600 milligram pack size dosage. And that was in effective change now, 28th of May 2020, that was changed. So yeah, look, there's some challenges. Obviously the medicinal market's fairly brand new. Having a lot of drug entities in South Africa as well with cultivation of cannabis, it's kind of like a catch-22. So now obviously regulators are clamping down on illegal growers so that the guys that are putting in the money and the revenue obviously want a return on their investment, so they don't want to deal with the illicit trade. So there's kind of like this handshake between government and policing forums and things like that to try and get down on it. But yeah, as for growing, it's expanding rapidly. I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of guys. Like I told you, I've got 170 applicants that are trying to get licensed right now, so we are assisting them. And it's costing a lot of money. But yeah, it's fun. It looks like the government is dealing with things the way we want them to. So let's see what happens. Hopefully recreational opens up in the next year or 2 years completely. And we can start looking to Canada and America.
So there's an appetite for recreational cannabis there in South Africa at the moment.
Yeah, massive, massive. Africa's huge for recreational. I mean, Nigeria, that's just up the road, they've got 20 million users of cannabis just in their country. Wow. They'll probably smoke about $15 billion worth of cannabis within a year.
And it probably grows there quite well due to the climate as well. Yeah.
I don't know what their laws are yet. I've been trying to find out, but everyone's kind of secretive about them. So that's the nice thing with us. We have neighboring countries, so like Zimbabwe, Lesotho. Everyone knows about Lesotho now with cultivation. So a lot of the guys are looking to South Africa now in terms of regulations and guidelines. So I think that's where we're coming into play a lot more.
So Roger, is it okay to ask, are you saying the Nigerians are secretive about whether it's legal to grow cannabis? Is that what?
Yeah, it's not really secretive. I'm pretty sure if I pulled up some medical records, I could probably find out what's going on. But yeah, in terms of
go online and find out, is cannabis legal in Nigeria?
Yeah, you can try. You can definitely try. Look, I focus more on my neighboring countries, so Swaziland, Lesotho, Zimbabwe. Yeah, Namibia is coming up now as well.
Which is the best place to grow cannabis out of those neighboring countries?
Yes, that's actually a very good question. A lot of the guys are saying Cape Town. So that's in South Africa. So Cape Town's looking like it's one of the hubs right now. So you'll find you've got canopy growth down here. You've got Aurora cannabis. Then you've got a lot of guys saying Swaziland because of the mountain ranges. So it's difficult to say. Look, if it was my money I was putting up, I would probably grow in Cape Town. Okay,
that's really interesting. Really, really interesting. Does anyone else have any other questions for Ross about cannabis, South Africa, anything that he just brought up there? Okay, well we'll make sure to kind of come back to it afterwards again and make sure that we include it in our post recording kind of analysis. Do we want to go Tamara? You're next to Ross on my screen. Do you want to go next? Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi everyone. So I'm here with my colleague Rick, who's given us all a little wave now. And so it's actually probably best if I let him speak first. He's our CEO of Cannaful, and I just think he gives a really great elevator pitch. And then I'll just jump back on afterwards when we talk about our super exciting sister project, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely. Far away, Rick.
I'll pass you over to Rick.
Yes, thanks, Tamara. I thought I was going to get away with that for a minute. So yeah, as Tamara says, we're from Cannaful. So Cannaful is a cannabis skincare manufacturing company based up in Scotland. So we actually know Kyle quite well. So there's a small sort of Scottish cannabis community up here that all interacts quite well. Look, I got interested in cannabis a long time ago. directly via my granddad. So he suffered from hemophilia, which is, if you don't know, is a disease where your blood doesn't clot because you don't have hemoglobin, right? Now, cannabis is never going to solve that problem, right? It's not a silver bullet like some people might claim. But like, he was on, tons of opiates, countless, medications. I couldn't run you through them all. Loads of surgeries. I mean, he often used to joke that he looked like he'd been in a shark attack because, when he's getting skin grafts all over his body and stuff. Anyway, really, really great pianist. And he was also really into his fishing. His hands start cramping up, all this stuff. Anyway, the long story short is, he started smoking cannabis from the black market, started seeing loads of benefits in his health. Not promoting smoking, but he was a smoker anyway, and he progressed onto that. He stopped using all the opiates, massively improved his quality of life. My mum at the time was crawling the walls. What on earth are you doing? But not long after that, he starts growing. He started making his own extracts and stuff like that. He was a bit of a firebrand type of guy, and his view was like, he's walking around on crutches. If the police want to come to my door, so be it, right? I'm quite old now and all this stuff. So, like, I was always interested in cannabis, and got involved in, the CBD industry as it started to kick off in the UK over the last couple of years. So initially started out with another brand in Scotland, and look, a lot of my background's actually in digital and tech and marketing and that sort of thing. So I went to join that brand to try and sort of help promote the products and that sort of thing. But the more and more I got into it, I think, the more and more I wanted to actually create products rather than buy in, label them up and promote them. And that's because, like, I think it's no secret that quality and consistency are things that are still maybe lacking a little bit in the industry over certain product ranges. Like, we've all seen the documentaries about products not testing right and, finding weird stuff in. I mean, one thing in skincare specifically you see a lot is a lot of American products coming into the market. Now, not to say there's anything necessarily wrong with those products, but there's different sets of rules, right? So you might not find they have the right paperwork and the right process and all this sort of stuff. So it's interesting because I've kind of been on both sides of the fence now as a buyer and also as a manufacturer. And we've tried to design a business that kind of solves all those problems for people, right? So we manufacture everything here in Scotland. Everything's fresh. We don't, it's not all stacked on a shelf somewhere. So fresh to order, lab test with everything. And we've put a lot of work into our supply chain and understanding like who's growing the hemp, who's extracting it, and all that sort of stuff. The thing I'm most excited about is the fact that we specialized in skincare. I think there's lots of companies in the market that can do your vapes, your gummies, your honeys, your tinctures, and all this. And for me, I got to a point where I thought, especially with skincare, you've got products out here from L'Oreal and Elemis and all this, and people fall in love with their routine. I just don't think they're going to swap those products out for a kind of bog standard formula with some CBD oil squirted in it. So what we're trying to do, actually, Tamara, who's in our team, comes up with our formulas, and she was into skincare way before cannabis. So rather than just leading with the cannabis all the time, we want to be really solution-led. And we want every ingredient in our products to be important. So to give you an idea, we might find similar terpenes in an essential oil as we would in cannabis. So if you're trying to target a specific terpene, you don't necessarily have to source that from cannabis. And Craig, another member of our team, head of production, has a great story. His son suffers quite badly with psoriasis. And he was already making skincare products when we met. We started combining CBD paste with some of his products and finding really great results with that. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell, really. So anybody who's like looking to run their own CBD companies, looking for a manufacturer, someone who understands the buying side and the selling side and can just give you a really good service, that's what we do. So yeah, I'll hand over to Tamara because I don't want us to dominate this call because we've got a spin-out brand, but that's really Tamara's baby, so I should let her present that.
Okay, Tamara, it's all yours.
Thank you. Yeah, so just rounding off with Cannafol. So I'm kind of head formulator for all of these products. I was basically, when we started getting into it, I was in the cosmetics industry for about 3 years before I joined the team at Cannafol. And I've kind of just been viewing cannabis as like an additional ingredient. It's not that don't want to say it wasn't special, but it didn't, a lot of these brands will just focus on the cannabis, even though it only represents maybe 2 to 5% of the actual formulation, and then just completely ignore everything else in it.
Yeah.
So, compared to a lot of other things that I've seen on the market, we're working with a lot of different botanical extracts to kind of help these extracts work harder. So recreating the entourage effects using essential oils, where maybe some of the full spectrums could be fuller. But we kind of share the same views as well, as Carl, in that, we're working with full spectrum extracts, but still providing clients with, if they do want isolate for various, reasons, regulation being one of the main ones, just trying to be a little bit squeaky cleaner, then, that's there as well. But yeah, the main interesting thing is Ascend. Ascend skincare is actually the whole reason we got together initially as a team at Canaful. Doing the white label, private label products was, it came about, through doing expos and, like Rick said, through kind of just consumer demand. There's such a demand for actual quality products for people that know what they're doing, that aren't making everything else cannabis based under the sun at the same time. But initially we got together with the idea of building a direct to consumer brand, bringing luxury, not necessarily luxury, but high quality cannabis extracts presented in a luxury skincare package. So, along the same lines as Estee Lauder, LMS, but bringing cannabis extracts, which are a really potent cosmetic ingredient in more mainstream beauty skincare, and bringing that to a market that doesn't really know about it yet, or that knows about it, but it's still a gimmick. And that's what we're really trying to fight. So I'm currently a student. I'm studying biosciences with the University of the Highlands and Islands. This is so just based off of the back of, being in the cosmetics industry and wanting to learn a little bit more. When you're dealing with cannabis, there's so much more that you need to focus on. Having an understanding of the cannabinoids, how to test for them, for terpenes, and how that all mixes in with the pre-existing very black and white cosmetic regulation. It's good to have a more scientific kind of understanding of all of that. Whilst still myself, I'm from a more holistic natural skincare background. I've worked with a few people in the natural skincare industry. So it's definitely, it's more natural skincare focused, working with natural botanical extracts that contain the same chemical compounds as clinical skincare. So if you look at the beauty industry, I'm not going to spend, not going to talk too much just about the beauty industry, because I could for absolutely hours. You have to shut me up, get that bell going. But there's a lot of buzzwords in the industry. Vitamin C serum has to be in everything. Retinol is a buzzword. We're using all of these ingredients, but there's actually some really good botanical sources of them, and I'm finding the exact same issue as with the synthetic lab-produced cannabinoids. You're getting synthetic lab-produced vitamin C, synthetic lab-produced retinol. And actually, if you find plant extracts that are really rich in these, your skin will absorb them better because they're mixed with other compounds, and when blended with other phyto compounds from plants, they'll work a little bit harder. Your skin will absorb them better. You won't have as many reactions as a lot of people do. So we've developed a range of 3 oils, 3 facial oils, so for nighttime and for daytime, and these are kind of just complementary to people's routines. Rick was saying very rightly so that people aren't willing to change up their routine as much as they maybe would have been before the huge skincare boom. So we're looking to encourage people to introduce cannabis into their skincare instead of just taking that risk, blindly jumping off a cliff into the whole world of cannabis skincare, where you have, especially in the market right now, you have products where they don't list the milligram content. You have products where
they on them at all.
Exactly. You have products where it's just hemp seed oil, but they'll talk about how hemp is rich in CBD, but this product doesn't actually contain any CBD, and it's how is that legal? ASA, come on. Get the Advertiser Standards Agency. I just want to report them, but I'm not a grass. So it's just such a minefield. You do have quality products, but there are so many brands out there that are just putting absolute nonsense on the market, and it's kind of ruining it for everyone else that's trying to do it right. So we're trying to set a standard for the beauty industry, for the cannabis industry in terms of like topical products that are offered. So, care about the cosmetics, care about what ingredients you're using and how they work synergistically together. But then also to the beauty industry, cannabis isn't a gimmick ingredient. It can actually be really, really effective. And kind of this is how you do it right.
Amazing. Well, it sounds quite fascinating coming from the cosmetics kind of industry into something that's a very young, unregulated, anything goes. Let's try and do it the best way we can, aka the cannabis industry, especially in the UK at the moment. So kudos to you for everything you're doing.
It's very right. To say about the regulation side of things, something that's actually quite nice working, combining cannabis with the cosmetics industry, is that the cosmetics regulations are really black and white. They're really crystal clear. So it actually helps where you have this, just minefield of grey area within cannabis. The cosmetic side allows a little bit of clarity, and we're seeing more and more kind of traditional cannabis vendors coming to us for cosmetics because, with everything that's going to go on, I dare say novel foods, but with everything that's going to go on, having a range of cannabis cosmetics that we know are legal and that they can't touch them, it's all black and white, it's completely kosher, that's offering an element of stability and it's just like an insurance for a lot of people.
Great. I did think we might get through it at this point without anyone mentioning novel foods, but anyway.
Sorry. If anyone had that on their bingo, that's like ticked off now.
I see Michelle Crisanti here online as well. Michelle, you have some skincare products in the kind of foreground behind you. And I see you've been nodding along to everything Tamara has been saying there. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do within kind of CBD and why you've been nodding along profusely to Tamara.
I'm all preach, sister. I said preach tomorrow. Yes, I am in the skincare side of things. I started in the cannabis business a long time. I live in Eugene, Oregon. So it's morning here. It's 8:30 in the morning here.
Oh, thank you for joining us early.
And I started when cannabis started becoming medicinal. I had some friends that opened the first medicinal dispensary here in Eugene. And I've come up with the industry since. I worked on farms. I do production. I work in a hemp warehouse right now. We produce smokable and bulk hemp there. I worked in the dispensary. I had a CBD hemp shop where we sold all different third-party tested COA, you gotta have it, products. Mostly from the local area, because I don't know what you know about Oregon, but we're a hot spot. We've been in this for a while. One of the people that I was involved with at the farm that I worked at a few years back is from Canada, and he has been working with this company with a skincare specialist for quite a while now, and we just introduced this natural rem. And like Tamara said, it was skincare first, and we introduced full spectrum oil to it, but this is all plant-based. It's an OPA life based is what it's called. It's antifungal, antimicrobial, and excuse me, all of our ingredients are choked.
Oh, grab a water.
Excuse me. I only got coffee right here. That's probably the problem.
I think Michelle is coming on to what you were talking about, Tamara, with regards to the natural kind of benefits to the other ingredients that are in the product, not just CBD. And I think as well because obviously, as the editor of a magazine, one of the biggest challenges for us, Michelle, is to kind of market products and advertise products that people, pay us to advertise without getting in trouble over a health claim, or without making a claim, even about, if it's about skin, it's still a health claim. So, what's kind of your take on that from the States?
Well, that's been a really big thing here. That's been a real big issue. And something when I was running the shop that was really important, that we weren't making those kind of claims because people were asking for their health. And I did actually write a wellness journal. It's right there. Because of my experience at the shop, because I'm fascinated by all of this. So the terpenes, the entourage effect, the endocannabinoid system. I actually work with the endocannabinoid system on an energy level. I'm a Reiki master, and I teach people how to manage their endocannabinoid system, not just with cannabinoids, but with, just regular plant medicine, with, their nutrition, with breathing, all of those things. So that helps when I'm, helping work with developing products. That helps when I'm, talking about the products. And like, forget who said it, the education is so important. I guess that was Nick. That the education of people, it's not here to get you high. People are really afraid of that. And so just working with people to change the perception of this to, it's another plant that we can benefit from. And that's the same thing with our skincare. So our lead formulator, Dr. John, he's this adorable little guy that's worked in the skincare industry for years and years, and wants the best plant-based things and ingredients. Everything's really clean and pure. All of our products are like clean white, and full spectrum hemp, because CBD isolate does have an effect, but as we all know, entourage effect is absolutely a thing. Our skin is thirsty for this, and we want to put it with products that are ingredients that are going to actually work with that entourage effect and, nourish the skin. It's not greasy. It's going to absorb in. We've got MSM plant extract in it, So really important also to, teach people, like Tamara said as well, we're teaching people how this works. It's our responsibility as pioneers in this industry to make sure that our products are great, that we know what we're talking about, that we're, advocates for taking the fear out of it, because there's so much, oh my God, It's been
How
so
do you do
prohibitive.
that? Because obviously being based where you are in Oregon, like you have a few years on us here in the UK with regards to the CBD industry, and probably in South Africa as well. And how do you do that as someone who is trying to advocate or trying to educate without forcing it down people's throats? I mean, how do you actually get the message out there in a way? You worked in dispensary, so I'd imagine you're quite well up on this.
Oh yeah, I worked in a dispensary, and then when I left the dispensary, it was to open our CBD hemp shop, and we actually had a kiosk at the mall, at our local mall, which was quite an experience, and part of the reason that I was like, okay, I gotta write a book, because and it's not very big, and it's the journal, so part of this is so people can register their experiences. But it was real interesting to see people that wouldn't normally come to a dispensary or a CBD shop have to come past the kiosk, and the looks you would get, like, oh, you can get your dog high, they have dog treats out there or what have you. So a lot of misconceptions and a lot of fear. So we just really had to be there, and the products look very normal. It looks like this would be on the shelf at Sephora or what have you. So that took some of the fear out of it. You could tell with body language who was kind of ready to hear things, and we kind of had to develop this feel for where people were at with it. I don't know how to explain that better, but be able to not come at people, but just continue to show up and continue to be.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, I think the most important thing though is we're not here to shove it down anybody's throat. I basically, if someone came up and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is in the mall, and I can't believe this is legal, and it's like, well, a lot of people are finding a lot of relief with it. I know you've heard, and a lot of people would say, oh, I heard about this, or I saw this in a magazine somewhere, and I'd say, well, what have you heard? So asking them the questions, what do you know about it? And then kind of breaking down the misconceptions, I think, was the easiest way to do it.
Amazing. Great. It's always great to speak to someone who is from an area that has a lot of kind of experience on the UK at the moment. So it's great to see, because that's, our next step here.
Yeah, I'm here to, I will help you. I love it. I love this. So.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. So if we want to just very quickly, if anyone has anything else that they would like to add, or if anyone has any kind of plans or projects coming up between now and the end of the year or the start of 2021, tell us about it, because all these things are so interesting to us. The chances are it'll end up in the magazine, or we'll kind of hop on the back of it and want to know more about it from you. So does anyone have anything kind of up and coming, anything you'd like to get some feedback on or get some kind of insight on? Tamara?
Yeah. So I was just talking about Ascend, which is our flagship brand that'll be launching in the autumn, so just a few weeks to go. So we've actually got a waiting list, because all of our products are handmade in small batches to ensure quality. And so I was just wondering if I'd be able to share the waiting list link for everybody. If anybody's interested, then you can feel free, and then be the first to find out when we go live. So
absolutely, you can post it in the group, no problem.
I was just grabbing it just now. It's on our Instagram, and then also we've got, you can follow us on Instagram, ascend.skincare. If you're interested in branching out into cannabis cosmetics at all, then it could be quite interesting, because we're sharing a lot of insights about the ingredients that we use. So it's not just for the beauty industry. I think if you're a more traditional CBD vendor, could find a lot of valuable content in there as well.
I have a really quick question, just from the various brands that are on this call. Where do you, if you want to tell us, you don't have to tell us who, but geographic location, where do you get your CBD from? Alex, do you want to tell us?
Yeah, I don't mind. So we partner with a company in Ireland. So we get CBD from Ireland at the moment. They also have an arm here in the UK, so it's kind of UK Ireland. And also we're actually exploring options at the moment. I have a family member has one of the biggest kind of medical cannabis growing laboratories in the Caribbean at the moment. So we're actually looking at exploring over there with our US arm, which we're slowly exploring and researching at the moment. So at the moment, at present, it's from Ireland. Hopefully, if everything goes well next year, then it will be from the Caribbean for our US arm. So, yeah.
Amazing. Nick? Or Rick, sorry. Nick.
Yeah, sure. So, our biomass is sourced from Lithuania. But the interesting thing about Lithuania, they grow really, really good hemp, but it's not legal for them to extract it. So it then heads over to mainland Europe, and that's where it'll be extracted. So interestingly, we used to just buy oils, but we think by the start of next year, we'll probably be buying biomass ourselves and then working directly with extraction partners. Just because we feel like you can maybe get a bit more control over the quality, and you can be a bit more exacting on the standards that you get. That's something we're really interested to look into. But yeah, really, really happy with I mean, I'll mention the company HempSpot is one of the growers out there in Lithuania. And honestly, like, go and speak to the guys there. They do a fantastic job. For example, you can ask them things like, we have to avoid a mold called aspergillus, right? That's something that can be quite common, causes problems with skincare.
Yeah.
Those guys will talk to you in depth about the microbiological testing they do. So you just get that real feeling of, okay, I know where this is coming from. I know they take care of it properly. They'll talk to you about their growing, their drying, the whole shebang. So little shout out to those guys. I think they do a cracking job.
Great. Kyle, what about yourself?
From Croatia and Austria is a source for two different farms out there we've connected with over time. We've been through a few different ones through the years, but they've been a long-term partner with Croatia and Austria. Also like to just give a shout out while I'm here about some news. We have a newly launched, you'll just hear about it shortly, a Scottish Hemp Association. I'm the chairman of it, and we're just getting the last documents together. We'll be going live with membership opening up. So the other interesting angle is that to mention novel foods again, is that Food Standards Scotland is independent from England and Wales, and they haven't actually announced their policy that they're doing the same as England and Wales, and we've been working very hard to try and get something different. We'll see how things go. News coming soon.
I want to pick your brain on that a little bit more right before we go, because when you say you would like them to maybe try a different approach.
Exactly, I'd love to tell you, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, right now the novel foods rush is on. So literally anyone with an edibles CBD brand or oils in the UK right now is kind of watching what's happening with the European Commission in Brussels, which has basically said, I'm sure you're all aware of it for anyone who's not, that they're considering CBD as a narcotic until this vote when happens in December. So from your point of view in Scotland, what are you hoping? What kind of outcome are you hoping for?
Well, basically we're trying to negotiate that the current situation continues, and we've based this on a established historical treatment, the way food standards have treated the hemp industry. When hemp seed oil came back onto the market in the late 90s, you could get between 50 to 100 parts per million THC in hemp seed oil. That's 50 to 100 milligram in a litre, and everyone knew you couldn't get high on a hemp seed oil. Now, roll forward, 20 years on, and we had the study which was published by the ACI, which has been some of the fuel, I think, leading towards the extra regulation. And there's all these newspaper headlines about illegal THC levels in the products. Across 30 products, the average was 0.04% in a 10 ml bottle. That's 4 milligram of THC. How they should have read the headline was, CBD products in the UK are found to contain less THC than Germany permits in 1 litre of hemp seed oil with the tightest food regulation in Europe. Okay, so that's where we're at. So more THC has been for sale on the supermarket shelves for years. Nothing has been done about it. The one milligram maximum per product, if you read for the 3 arms to be met, the first arm is that it's not designed for human consumption. Well, hemp seed oil is designed for human consumption, so not only should it have maximum 1 milligram THC, it shouldn't be for consumption if it's got 0.5 milligram in there. So we've made this case that this has ran for like 20 years, and should they make the change, companies are going to be doing things like labeling as cosmetics, and this is not from a top-down approach anyone wants. This is just what happens. All of the companies who've started Scottish Hemp Association deal with full spectrum products, so there is that trace THC that's in there that comes from hemp, only in a small amount, in line with the content. So people have been getting in hemp seed oil for years, so we've got that covered on the data to say that that's what it is. So we feel that these changes are coming up. It's not going to go well for the consumers that we have. Don't want isolated CBD in their products, and they would rather consume a product that's labeled as a cosmetic. They'd be happy to buy a tube of paste that says cosmetic, do not consume, and they will eat that rather than eat the one that says novel foods approved and it contains isolated CBD. And they're like, well, that's not what we want, that's not what we're looking for. So we've made this case to Food Standards Scotland, and we're waiting to hear. To be honest, we had several of them on for a Zoom meeting with us, and I was surprised that for the regulation coming in, they didn't have all this information really at their fingertips. They were being told to apply for a novel foods license. When we asked them details what that actually involves, they couldn't tell us. So supposedly this is happening in the UK. They couldn't really tell us. And in Europe, when they said it's going to be classified as a narcotic and the applications were stalled, so then it came back that wasn't actually true. It's only the flowering top extracts are considered a narcotic. Extracts from stem and stalk are still going ahead. It's a silly situation. And at the moment in hemp seed oil, not many people know this, but you can get 1 litre of hemp seed oil that contains 2,000 milligrams of CBD. Now, a lot of people are surprised. 2,000 milligrams CBD, that's like a high-priced CBD product. You can get that in a litre of seed oil if you get the right genetic. Also with, a good 10, 20 milligram THC in the bottle. And these can be bought, imported, sold as hemp seed oil. So we presented that to Food Standards Scotland. What's going to be the limit for THC in hemp seed oil? They don't have an answer. And if you take all these products away, we'll be in the newspaper talking about this, and we've all these consumers who they're not going to be buying the new ones just because it says it's tested if it's got isolated CBD. And the other problem we have with the novel foods coming forward, when novel foods regulation, when a product's approved, this has got nothing to do with hemp, it's just CBD. So you could put synthetic CBD in a product, you could put hemp leaves on the packet, make it look like cannabis, and sell your CBD product, and there's no regulation that you need to state to the consumer it's made from synthetically produced, lab-grown, grown on yeast, you know? It doesn't nearly have the environmental footprint what a hemp field does, and we feel that's very misleading to consumers, and that's not the type of regulation of everything getting better for the industry that's been pitched, which is, you know, it's easy to make the question to consumers, should there be regulation? Oh yeah, of course there should. Are you happy with synthetic being in there and it doesn't tell you it's synthetic? No, nobody told us about that. Well, that's what's coming. So this is what Food Standards Scotland didn't seem aware of any of this, and that all the companies are going to, you know, the label is cosmetics, so whatever, you know, it's that's where it's at. So
if you're
Scotland has not made an announcement, and we're waiting optimistically.
If you're in your situation, you know, and you're a Scottish company, you've got oils, you've got maybe chocolate, you've got other things going on, you're presumably filing a novel foods application for the rest of the UK. So that's absolutely no good to you. It's 1st of April next year. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, say that again. About the UK. Sorry.
Come the 1st of April next year.
Yeah.
You know, where do you stand as a Scottish food CBD company?
Oh yeah, well that's I also think that I don't think this is all going to go ahead as everyone's talking about. A lot of people involved don't really know what's happening with this. And the other angle, which I think is quite possible, you know, we're heading for Brexit. We're leaving Europe, and we've all spoke about we don't want American food standards, but we're all finding out we're going to start getting American food products coming through. American hemp CBD companies are just dealing with getting a bill to Congress to get the FDA to accept CBD and trace cannabinoids up to 0.3% in foods, and for this to be accepted as nutritional supplements. Mm-hmm. So once we have Brexit, and once you have American companies putting their leverage and lobbying on the UK, you think they're going to be told that they can't sell their hemp products here, that they don't fit our food standards, they can't be sold as a food, they have to do this license, and it's got to be made from isolate, and they can't sell their hemp extracts that they've been growing? I expect there could be changes in the road ahead, and there could be pressure from them. And the other thing, like this chocolate bar in Australia has only just in the last year or two has just legalized the consumption of hemp seed oil. For the last like 20 years, hemp seed oil has had to be labeled for external use only, not for consumption. And you can get chocolate bars and it says on it, chocolate body scrub, you know? We've told Food Standards Scotland, do you want this, you know?
Amazing. Before we wrap it up, does anyone else have anything that they want to mention?
I do. That's okay.
I'm interested to ask what people are finding has been the effect of the last 6 months of COVID on the industry. How, you know, has sales held up on the whole? Has the massive development that was happening so quickly last year ground to a halt?
I think we're in a good position to maybe answer that one, because we help a lot of various brands like launch products. So, you know, we get a nice view of various companies in the market, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, interestingly, you know, we just came off the back of a trade show just a week before the whole COVID madness really took off. And yeah, you know, for us, because a lot of what we do is we'll introduce a product. So I guess there's quite an investment there for a brand, right? They got to make some packaging, they got to make a new website. And so it's a bit of an involved project. So we did find like a handful of customers that were really close to going ahead with stuff, just pull back and say, look, we're not ready to launch a new product. We want to work on our existing business and just get in a nice, safe, sort of stabilize things. But then at the same time, it was really a mixed bag. It's really interesting. You're talking to business owners from loads of different companies. And honestly, I would have put them into two camps. Some that saw this as like, oh my God, and, you know, maybe a little bit curled up in the corner and just wanted to hide away and just go away. And then I had, you know, another group of entrepreneurs or business owners that were actually kind of seeing it as an opportunity to really double down on like health and wellness products, people not feeling great at the moment, all this sort of stuff. Most of the brands we talk to have a big e-commerce part of their offering. So, you know, e-commerce did really well during the lockdown, you know, and stuff like that. And actually, you know, the brands that we see that I think are going to perform best next year are the ones that have just kept building. kept building, kept refining their processes, keep pushing forward, understanding that, look, some companies may fail, but probably the ones that will, because of the pressure from COVID, were maybe the brands that didn't have the right business processes, that weren't set up with a good structure. So actually, maybe it will open up some space for better quality products, for people with better processes who've done the hard work. A lot of people just rush to the market and sell, and that's all good, right? People want to sell products, business, no harm in that. But the guys that I think are going to come out and do really well are the ones that have taken that opportunity with the downturn to really tighten things up, because bigger players are coming in this market, right? And they've got big resources, they've got lots of experience, and they're going to step on the businesses that haven't spent the time of getting their labeling right and their production methods and their processes right. So it's a really mixed bag, but I think most brands will do well.
Good. And I think, that's one thing that has been kind of said across the board throughout the kind of recovery stage of the pandemic that I guess we're in now, is, a lot of people have been focusing on the backroom work and the restructuring and getting the kind of little things right, which I think is great. And probably needed to be done, but beforehand we were all too busy. We all had so many things going on that we're like, no, I'll get to that eventually. And then we had no other choice but to. I want to bring Alex in very quickly. Alex, you wanted to mention something there.
Yeah, just it's something for Nick, actually. I'll be interested to talk to you further about your documentary, actually. I had a short career in broadcasting. I was a production manager for the Channel 4, BBC, in a previous career. And it's one of my best friends who's an edit producer for Netflix. And he actually just finished doing World's Toughest Prisons, but he's actually exploring and researching the documentary with his team at Netflix on the medical cannabis, but in South America. But, it'd be interesting just to have just a general chit chat later on at some point in the near future, because I'm just quite interested in kind of what you're producing, and just to see if there's anywhere we can maybe just have a nice conversation about it and hear more about your documentary, if that's okay. But there was nothing specific business related. It was just kind of more to just kind of pick up a conversation later on, if that was okay with you.
Yeah, I've been in Colombia as part of my research, so I'd agree with him that there is a story there.
Perfect.
Great. Well, this is what this kind of thing is for. So, introducing people to each other, people from various locations across the world who may have an interest in the UK industry. We're here, we'll give you whatever information you're looking for, whatever kind of research you're doing, whether you're about to launch a product here, or you're looking to invest here, or you're looking for some guidance on like the latest kind of regulatory guidance, I suppose. If guidance is the key word at the moment with everything going on with novel food. And we'll continue to update everyone through the magazine on that. And again, if anyone would like to contact me after this, my email is roisin@cannavistmag.com. That's ROISIN@cannavistmag.com. And thank you for joining us for our first Meet and Greet Monday. We'll be doing this, I think we'll try and do it a little bit more often, but we're going to keep to the first Monday of every month. And it's kind of a sideline to a virtual event that we're doing once every 3 months, which is called CBD Live at Voxpo. The next one is coming up in November, and you can register for that. It's free, and it's a 3-day event. Our first installment took place at the end of July, and we had people from 82 countries on it. We had our webinars reviewed more than 10,000 times. We had incredible statistics from it, something like 23,000 visitors to exhibition stands and all that kind of stuff. So the interest is massive. And our next installment I think kicks off the 18th of November for 3 days, and it's going to be situated virtually in the US this time. So for anyone interested in the US market, there'll be lots of information, lots of seminars, and lots of comparisons between the US now compared with the UK now, and looking back at how the US market kind of grew to where it is today. Thank you all for joining us. Really, really nice to see some new faces, familiar faces, and stay in touch. And we've got a new issue of the magazine coming out next week for anyone who's interested. If you're not on the list to get a copy, just send me your email address and we'll get you one.
Cool. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
You too. Bye-bye.
See you later. Till next time.